Hey guys, and welcome to another Q&A Monday video. In this video I'll try to answer as many of your questions as I can in as much detail as possible. I get so many questions every single day, so I can't really put them all into one video, otherwise we'd be here for hours. So if I don't get to your question in this video, don't worry, I might get to it in the next one. If not, just drop it down in the comments and I'll answer it as soon as I can. So without further ado, let's jump into the first question. Ben Gilmeister asks, how much do you think you spent on cameras, spirit boxes, etc.? I've probably spent thousands on equipment over the years. Even before moving into the paranormal sort of field of videos, I spent, like this DSLR, like I spent a couple £100 on that, and then hundreds more on lenses just so that I can get this nice quality, the blurry background and stuff. It really does mount up. Now the paranormal equipment itself, generally below £100, you're talking £60 here and there for a bit of equipment. But then, like I say, when you get into the high def cameras, you're talking £1,000+ per camera on that, because you want a high end camera that does quality HD, but you also want one that does night vision, and professional cameras generally don't come with that function. So it's trying to find a decent middle ground where you can still get that top quality and night vision. So yeah, definitely thousands on that one. Matt asks, just two questions, matey. What camera do you use to record in, and what editing software do you use? Okay, so I've got three cameras that I use mainly. The one I'm using right now is a Canon DSLR, the 600D with a 24mm lens on it. I use that mainly for the talking segments just because it's a little bit more pleasing to look at. For the night vision stuff and sort of filming overnight, I have a Canon XA10, which is nice and small. It's got a built-in hard drive so it can record for longer without needing to worry about swapping over memory sticks. Good quality HD, and it's got a built-in IR light that is, you know, something to write home about. It's really nice. And then for the more important stuff that I shoot and I need it in night vision, I've got the XF105, which is considerably bigger. Had to get an external IR light for this because the one built in is not as good as the XA10, which is a shame considering this costs so much more. But this is aiming more at like a professional market than the consumer market, so that's the reason it doesn't really do it. Professional cameras just don't come with night vision. It's a bit of a nightmare. But I've also got this little attachment on the side here, so I can attach my infrared phone adapter on there and shoot both simultaneously. I've just been playing around with it a little bit, but yeah, that's the one I use for the more important night vision stuff. On top of that, as for software, I use the Adobe suite. Generally, I use Adobe Premiere Pro for my editing, and for like EVPs and trying to clean up any audio, I use Adobe Audition. So that's pretty much everything that I use on there. Anna Holmes asks, why don't you make a live video for us? Okay, so I've included this question because I get asked it a lot, and it's actually been used on occasion as a reason why I must be fake, because I'm not willing to show you it live. And although that, it baffles me. Anyway, it's not the point. There's a couple of reasons that I've not done a live stream yet and have no real plans to do so. The first one is you can't predict when the activity is going to happen. You just can't. So if I set a stream time for whatever hour in the morning, we all wait around until that time. I do a live stream and we're there for 2 hours and maybe catch a couple of words on a ghost box at best. Everyone's wasted the time. I've wasted my time staying up and doing it. I'm tired. Maybe my presenting style's not particularly entertaining. It's just, that feels like a waste of time to me. You just can't predict it. Obviously, if I did a live stream and miraculously all the activity kicked off at that time, skeptics would complain about that. It's go, oh, of course it happened. What's the chances of that? You know, you can't win, which is why I'm just kind of sticking to what's working. What's the point in filming live 2 hours of nothing and then one little snippet of activity when I can just film that like not live and just give you the 2 minutes of activity? Like, you're seeing the same thing at the end. It's just, what difference does it make live? I don't understand that. Second thing is my presenting style as a generalization. I've watched a lot of live streams in the past myself, and they do go on for a long time, and it's usually just a person sat there with a Ouija board and a ghost box asking questions and getting very little responses. It's nice interaction, but if you guys just wanted a live interaction, then come chat to me on Facebook. I'm usually on there. I can talk back quite easily. I'm not particularly good on camera, believe it or not. It doesn't come across in the videos because I edit out all the times that I mess up. Generally, something as simple as a Q and A or talking on the intro or the outro of a video or analysis video or something like that, I usually have to do it over and over again to get what I want to say out clearly and succinctly, because I do a lot of and then and it's not particularly nice to listen to. It's boring. You don't want to listen to someone umming and ahhing. You want matter of fact. And so from that, I've seen myself in my early videos, and I've become quite strict on myself. So too many ums and ahs, that's it. I'm trying it again because I'm not happy with it. You can't do that live, so you would have to deal with my derping on camera for the hour or whatever duration of a live stream. And for me, that's just not entertainment. You have to be a particular type of person to be able to pull off live stream entertainment, and I don't believe I'm that guy. So it's just a little bit of how I feel about it. And maybe a live Q&A could work. I could probably do that because I can promise you the content. I can answer your questions. I might and ah a little bit, but I can still answer a question fairly succinctly. It's not the end of the world, but I just can't promise a live stream where you're going to get activity. It doesn't happen that way. It just doesn't work. So it's just a couple of thoughts on the whole live streaming process. Rick Clark asks, was the house you are in now haunted before you moved in? No, I don't think it was. I did actually ask the landlord. I was pretty upfront about, like, I'm interested in the paranormal, that sort of thing. I said, any unusual stories about the place? And I know a lot of people in the area as well, so I've asked them if they've heard anything, and it came up pretty clean. Now, I can't say for sure that, say, someone like Anna wasn't here already, or was she in the area, that sort of thing. But to my knowledge and the research that I've done, no, there were no spiritual activity or paranormal stuff happening here before we moved in. Christine Webster asks, my question is, what advice would you give me starting out in the paranormal world? Generally, I wouldn't give advice because I've not done a great deal of external investigating myself. There's probably better people to ask for it. But the advice I would give would be to just be prepared, do plenty of research on the location, give yourself a head start going in and knowing who it is you're trying to contact and that sort of thing. You know, the equipment's nice, but you don't need lots of fancy equipment. You know, a camera, a notepad, and an EVP recorder will probably do. You can do most investigations with that. Take a flashlight, don't wander around in the dark if you don't need to. And yeah, just be careful. Try to have somebody with you if you can, because you know, you never really know what's going on, and you don't want to injure yourself and not have anybody there to help. Ashley Hall asks, how do you feel now compared to when this all started? Well, I've actually changed quite a lot since this all started. As you know, when I first started filming, I was a complete skeptic. I didn't believe in anything paranormal whatsoever. I was just kind of interested in delving into it. And then as time progressed, I went through being scared of the paranormal to accepting the paranormal. And now I can't imagine my life without having some kind of paranormal influence in there. And more than anything, it's opened my mind. And I'm not a particular religious person, so I've not had major beliefs in like life after death, heaven and things like that. So to think that there is a little something that happens after for some people, then that's quite a nice thought, I guess. Obviously been lost and confused as some spirits are. Not so nice, but to think that it doesn't just end is quite nice. But yeah, more than anything, it's opened my mind. I'm a lot less skeptical when people tell me something unusual has happened. I don't need quite that hard evidence, and not that I don't need evidence. You know me, I'm quite meticulous in trying to prove what I don't know. But if somebody tells me a story, I'm not going to go, yeah, I'm sure that happened. Yeah. I'm going to accept it. I mean, innocent till proven guilty. I don't have a reason to disbelieve them now. I'm not a complete skeptic. I can understand that sort of thing does happen and so on and so forth. So yeah, more than anything, it's just been open-minded. Auntie D asks, what do you think about the people that say you're fake? Some actually do videos saying how you did it. To be honest, I don't really mind if people think it's fake. It doesn't really affect me in any way. I'm still going to upload the videos regardless of what you think. I have said in the past to stay skeptical. I do actively encourage people to question the evidence, because it's not an investigation unless you do so. If you just accept everything, then, you know what I mean, the investigation stops. We're settling with our answers. We're not striving to get better evidence. We're just settling. So Yeah, by all means think it's fake, but at least give me a reason. Don't just write fake in the comments. Like, there's no validation there whatsoever. So when you say people have made videos showing me how they think I've done it, that's all good. But the problem is with those people is they make a video and say, this is how it was done. It's like, no, that is another way it could be done. Just because you can replicate an effect doesn't mean that that is the only way that that could happen. That's just your belief versus somebody else's belief. And this is the problem with the paranormal, is it really does boil down to your beliefs. If you believe it could be possible for a spirit to move an object, then you have that as an option. But if you don't believe for a second that it's possible a spirit moved an object, then the only explanation for you is string. Like, somebody must have moved it with a magnet or a string. But I ask, where's the evidence of the string? But they don't do that. They say, I can replicate this effect using string. But that doesn't mean that's how it was done, you know what I mean? So, to be honest, I don't mind. By all means, if that's your belief system, go for it. You can think it's string, you can think I've fabricated it all, fine. Don't mind. Just at least watch it with an open mind and consider the possibility while you're doing it. Tracy Langsley asks, hi Michael, if you had never been haunted or had any paranormal activity, would you still believe in it, or would you have been a skeptic? I reckon if I hadn't started filming, I'd never have caught the activity that I've caught on camera. I'd never really experienced anything firsthand the way that I did, because the way it sort of built up, when I finally experienced something firsthand, I was open to it, and that sort of slightly skeptical mind was lifted at that point. I was able to believe what had just happened. But if I hadn't started filming and then experienced that stuff, I'd have probably just been skeptical and wrote it off to something completely different. And yeah, I'd have probably just gone through life being a complete skeptic, to be honest. And worryingly still, I could have ended up being one of the people that I just mentioned online saying how they could have done it with string and so on and so forth, because that's a fully skeptic mind they will find any explanation other than paranormal and be happy with it. They're not open-minded enough to say, well, there's two options there, paranormal or string. It's just, well, that one's not real, so it must be string. And I'm slightly worryingly, I could have possibly been that guy. Sassy Cat asks, do you think you are sensitive to the paranormal activity? You often mention sensing or feeling spirits around you. Has a spirit ever moved or hidden objects from you, such as swiping your keys, etc.? You're not the first to think that I might be sensitive, and I'm certainly not closed off to the idea. I think it's plenty possible. But whenever you hear me mention I feel like there's something around me, it's not like a sixth sense, like I can just feel it. It's like a physical thing. It's using the five senses that I've got. I can feel the cold, sort of staticky, sort of charge that comes along with the contact with the spirit, and as well as that, you've got your hearing and things like that. It's not necessarily a sixth sense where you can just sort of emotionally, you just know that there is a spirit nearby. It's definitely a physical thing that I've mentioned. As for the spirits moving objects and stuff like that, I believe that's quite a regular occurrence. The first time I ever mentioned it was some jewellery went missing, and I believe it was in part 2. Yeah, some jewellery went missing, and I've no idea if it ever showed up, to be honest. It probably did. Probably just thought it had been misplaced, but it's that kind of thing where you think you swear to God you left your keys on that little bit of table right there, and then you find them somewhere else, or you go around looking and then find them on the table. I believe everybody's experienced that, so I don't really attribute that sort of thing to paranormal, because as people we can be quite forgetful, but it probably does happen on a regular basis, and I just write it off as being human. Game Teller asks, is YouTube your full-time job? No, YouTube's not my full-time job. I actually work in a warehouse full-time, and this does make a little bit of money. I won't deny it. Everyone knows you can monetize videos on YouTube, and you've seen adverts on here. It does make a little bit of money, but that money goes on equipment and things like that. You know I've spent thousands on equipment, so like when you look at a website like Social Blade, that just doesn't take into account the amount of cuts that get taken off of that money before it reaches you. You don't earn quite as much as it likes to think you do. It's a nice estimate, so you can see and fantasize about your most popular YouTubers and see what they're earning, but in in reality you don't earn that much. So maybe one day though it'll be popular enough and I can do external investigations, and then that can be my full-time job. That'd be good. But right now it's just a hobby. And so that's it for this Q&A, guys. I hope I answered your questions sufficiently. If I didn't get to it, like I say, don't worry, I might get to it next week. If not, drop it down in the comments and I'll try to answer it as soon as I can. So thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I'll post any and all activity as and when I get it.